Gilbert Arenas, host of Gil's Arena podcast, and it is doing some big business. Just surpassed 1 million subscribers on Underdog, and it's streaming Monday through Thursday on YouTube. Also available on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. And there's a documentary out on Gil. It's on Netflix, available. It's called Untold Shooting Guards. We'll talk about that in a moment. First of all, how's your son doing?
He's doing very well. He has some angels with him that morning, so glad he's fully recovering. Didn't have any major injuries, so that's all we can pray for.
What's that phone call like early in the morning?
It was devastating. Well, it was because usually I wake up at 4:30 and I go to the Tesla app to see if he's heading home or if he's at the gym. So his car is at the gym, so I continue my workout. And my daughter said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, obviously I'm working out." And she said, "You haven't heard your son just got an accident at the gym?" There's like, "No, he's at the hospital." So I just stopped everything and ran over there, and then was like, "What the hell's going on? Like, was it his car? What's going on?" And then I realized that the app actually malfunctioned, and I found that out a couple of days later when he started waking up and off the drugs. But my thing was making sure there was no broken limbs, there was no burns, and lucky for him, trapped inside of a car for so long. It's luckily there was bystanders that heard the crash that early in the morning that got him out.
But they had to put him in a coma?
Yeah, because he was a little stronger than they thought, and he was waking up, going crazy. So they put him in an induced coma.
Wow.
Just to get the air. I guess was it Sid? They were getting the smoke and all of that out of his.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess he was in a car. It looked like about 10, 12 minutes.
Just inhaling that.
Just inhaling that, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's good to hear. And he's still going to USC?
Of course.
Okay.
And, he did. His sense of humor was still there when he was waking up and he asked, "Where is he?" And was like, "Oh, you're at the UCLA hospital." And he wrote, "Tell Muss I'm sorry that I'm at UCLA." I'm like, "Not right now. Not right now."
So Coach Musselman.
Yes, not right now. Not with the jokes right now. We're still a little scared.
Okay, you got to see the documentary.
Uh-huh.
What stood out to you?
I thought it was. I personally thought it was. It was done good.
Well, explain how they came up with the idea that they're going to do a documentary called "Untold Shooting Guards" and the double meaning.
Well, that's a great title. I'm not even gonna lie. Just for everything that went on. But at first I wanted to tell this story to get the real story out there. But I never wanted to tell it without Javaris' side.
Okay, explain this to our audience just so they know what you're talking about.
So me and Javaris, which was my, rook at the time or second year player, but he was, one of my guys on the team. We was playing a card game, and I didn't like the way he was conversating after losing. He was losing, so I didn't like the tone that he was saying to the other players. So as a veteran, as the guy that he looks up to, I checked him. And, when you're losing money, I'm checking you in front of players that got into a little altercation. And, we challenged each other. So the challenge was, you're going to shoot me? Well, I want to see you do it. I was calling his bluff. And it wasn't as drama-filled as, the media made it seem, right? It calmed down very quickly. But
you guys got guns at the card game?
No.
Okay.
This was in the locker room. The card game on a plane from Arizona to Washington.
Okay.
That long flight, and they play cards on the game. So
how much money are we talking about here?
The pot at the time when I joined was probably $1,100.
Oh.
But I think he was down about $6,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
But
when you guys land, how are you guys when you get off the plane, and then when do you know that maybe this is escalating?
I'm an antagonizer. So, my personality, as you can see, I'm an antagonizer. I'm gonna point, I'm gonna poke at you. So, him losing, I'm poking at the end of the plane, just poking his buttons. But we did have a day off. So I think we landed Saturday. We did have Sunday off. And this happened Monday, where I'm still, I want to see if you're still going to be about your word. So I had the guns on his chair, and I wrote a note, pick one, to see, hey, pick one of these nice guns to shoot me with. But I knew he couldn't shoot me because uh, there was no bullets for the gun, right? And then you have to go to Maryland to actually buy bullets, and the chances of them having a Desert Eagle 50 cal bullet or whatever he picked wasn't going to be there. So I wasn't really scared for my life. It was more, I'm going to call your bluff. Let's see what you're going to do. It was one of those type of ordeals, egotistic stuff that locker rooms go through.
I don't know.
Level.
I don't know.
On another level. On another level.
I don't know if this happened with other teams where guys are bringing in guns there, but
No. The other teams, they just get in fist fights. Yeah. Just, so, it was very immature especially my part, being the older player on a team, very immature. But um, I did it. I really tried to correct my wrong as soon as it happened by, really taking the blame for it and trying to see if the media just focus on me and get away from him.
when did you know that it was going to be a bigger story than just a locker room prank?
When Peter Vesey got a hold of it and he wrote the article, OK Corral inside the Wizard locker room, I was like, oh shit. Right. Right. So it was because before that, it happened on like the 21st. So for the most part, the Washington, Wilbon and Kornheiser, they wasn't touching the story, even though they heard rumbles of it, right? It was like, okay, it's contained. Okay, let's just go on about our business. Let's not try that again. And, once he leaked the story, it was all hell broke loose after that.
Is Gilbert Arenas, host of Gil's Arena podcast, three-time NBA All-Star with the Wizards, and the documentary Untold Doc. It's Untold Shooting Guards.
I don't know why I like the title so much. like it stands out. When you're talking about putting a doc and you want the views, that's a great title.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Explain to me the logic of the Celtics last night that shooters keep shooting, but at what point do you change up your offensive philosophy? Maybe try to get a two, maybe go to the hoop, maybe get a free, like anything. You being a great scorer, after a while, you got to realize maybe it's not my night.
It's the Achilles heels of when Celtics do lose. When they do lose, the performance they had last night, right? They're going to be 10 for 60, 12 for 58, right? You're beatable at that moment in time, right? A team that's taking a bunch of twos, they're going to beat you. You're shooting about 180 points worth of threes, but you got 105 points. That doesn't even make sense of a winning basketball, team. So there has to be someone or some strategy of at a certain point, let go of the 3-point shot and attack. Because if you're not playing a team who also relies on threes, like a New York Knicks team, they're going to actually beat you. You're beatable at that point. When you're making your threes and you're shooting 40%, oh yeah, you're going to blow everybody out. But in a 7-game series, you're going to have 2 games like this, right? You're going to have 1.5 games where you're on fire. So you got to figure out how to win the games when you're not shooting very well, because you're going to automatically give 2 games to the New York Knicks just off of just a 7-game series on how shooting goes.
Better chance to win their series, the Nuggets or the Knicks?
Nuggets. when you have a guy like Jokic, who can manipulate the game, offensively, um, just hanging in there. It's like yesterday watching the game. Denver wasn't playing well, and it seemed like OKC was playing very well, but they were still hanging in there. And as long as, you got 5 minutes left, Jokic is down 10, you gotta give it to the guy who's been there before, who has 3 MVPs, who should have 4 or 5 of them. You gotta worry about, someone like him. When it comes to the New York Knicks, they have Brunson, right? And your small guard is very dominant, but when you're talking about the overall impact, I think the Celtics themselves, with Jason Tatum, with Brown, with the pedigree of Drew Holiday and White, that's been there, they've won golds. You're talking about a better cast of just winning. So it's going to be hard for Knicks to pull off this series, but it is doable. It's doable, but I'll edge, Denver, that if one of the two is going to win, it'd be more like Denver has a better chance than New York.
We came up with the Hall of Very Good. This was years ago.
Okay.
I think it was because of Joe Johnson. We put him in the Hall of Very Good. He's not a Hall of Famer. We put him in as a founding father, Mount Rushmore of Hall of Very Good. It's not an insult, but like you could be up for Hall of Very Good.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Do you accept the nomination of being in the Hall of Very Good?
Yeah, I accept the nomination of being an NBA player, right? As you're talking about a small percentage of people who actually go out to play this game as a youth, and there's only very, very small percentage that's going to make that. So, having a nomination of being very, very good, I like that.
Okay. By the way, it's only one very. It's not very, very good. Just saying.
Oh, okay. So I put too many berries on my bad.
Yeah. Okay. Some of the players we have in the Hall of Very Good. We have Latrell Sprewell.
Okay.
Rip Hamilton.
Okay.
Let's see. Who else do we have on there, Paulie?
Antoine Jameson.
Antoine Jameson.
Okay.
Penny Hardaway.
Yes.
Very good.
Should
have been a Hall of Famer.
He probably gets 2 varies.
Yeah. Give him 2 varies. Who else do we have, Paul?
How about Jamal Crawford, 20,000 points?
Yes.
Hall of Very Good.
Stephon Marbury.
Oh, okay. Marbury. Jason Williams.
White chocolate?
Yeah.
I'll give it to him, but he's not up there with the Marbury when it comes to statistical.
Okay.
Because it's, the Hall of Fame is whole body of work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, Jason Williams would be somewhere below, someone like me.
Okay. Like the Hall of Very White, then he would be in that.
Oh, yeah. Listen, guarding him and who he was as a player, very, very good.
Okay.
So it's, the NBA career versus the body of work is 2 different things. But, as a dangerous player on the court, he was very, very good.
How about Cliff Robinson?
I don't remember Clifford like that.
Okay.
I remember just growing up as a child, the Blazers, so I don't remember, the details of his career. Lou Will, you can put in there.
How about Baron Davis, Hall of Very Good?
Yeah, I can put Baron Davis in there.
Okay. Who is the best player you played against who's not in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I don't think Jamal is up yet, but I'll probably say who hasn't is probably Stephon Marbury. I'm still confused why he's not actually in the Hall of Fame.
He was a problem for you.
Yeah. I think he has the best resume for someone who hasn't, Chris Webber's in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some of those guys get in under the radar and you be like, wait, what? What did you make?
Jalen Rose?
Yeah, Jalen Rose is very good.
Hall of Very Good.
Hall of Very Good, yeah.
Jermaine O'Neal.
Yeah, oh, yes. Jermaine is not in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think so.
Oh, then Jermaine, I'll put Jermaine number 1.
Oh,
Like, a guy who was like the reason I'll put him in front of like somebody like Jamal Tinsley, a Jalen Rose type is because he was a main player. He was the go-to guy. He was a franchise player. So, the franchise guy, the guy who had to carry, the load, that's Jermaine O'Neal. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He's probably the best one that's not there yet.
I can't put Jamal Tinsley in the Hall of Very Good.
No, I mean, no. He didn't have the NBA career to be there, but he was a really good player.
Okay.
Probably one of the unguardable guys during the years where we trapped the basketball and picked up full court.
Yeah.
Was probably the only guy that it didn't work against.
Really?
Yeah. His composure during traps and his dribbling skills wasn't fast at all, wasn't quick at all, never got rid of the ball. He just toyed with everyone during full court traps. And it was kind of embarrassing to the point. It's like, let's just bring it back. Like he's kind of like, this is pointless.
So once again, it's the Hall of Very Good.
Mm-hmm.
You're in. Congratulations. About a round of applause. Yeah.
Gilbert. All right. Gilbert.
I appreciate it, guys. Hey,
Yeah.
I'll take them. I'll take all the accolades I can get.
Hey, but is your speech going to resemble Michael Jordan's at the Hall of Fame when he made fun of everybody?
No.
But you're an agitator. You just told me. You like to poke.
Yeah. I know, but when you're Michael Jordan, you get to make fun of everybody. You're at the top of the, you get to let everybody know how great you are when you are the top dundada, of course.
So you would have felt honored if he made fun of you.
Yes. I'll be just like Charles Barkley. He called me an idiot.
I'm honored. I'm glad your son's doing well, and good luck with the documentary. And, of course, congrats on the podcast.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Gilbert Arenas. He is Gil's Arena podcast and the documentary as well. It's on Netflix, but he got to see it this morning.
I love that dude. He's lived a life, and we'll talk to you about it, all with a smile on his face, like just having a great time. He's a good dude, man. I like that.
But isn't Javaris Crittenden still in prison, Marvin?
Yes, he is.
No?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That for something separate.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, something
But I
separate.
think this was the start of the downfall, though.
Yes. If Gil knew what he knew about Javaris Crittenden afterwards, I don't think he would have brought those guns into the locker room because somebody wasn't playing.